Hey, welcome back to the series of Business Studies Chapter 9 Financial Management. In this video, we are learning about factor affecting for the working capital. And also the working capital meaning. And this is OBC Online Business class. If you still not subscribed, consider it. Let's start the meaning of working capital. So what is working capital? Working capital refers to, it's a capital basically, the capital which is required for day-to-day working for that organization. Like apart from the investment which is done for the long term, like fixed assets, every business need working capital. In the other word, we call it as current asset. Every business need to invest in the current assets that basically convert current asset into cash and cash equivalent. That is called working capital. Here I will tell you a difference between working capital and fixed capital. Fixed capital are invested in the long-term purpose like machinery, plants, but working capital are invested in rents, raw material purchase, labors, fees, salary. These are the working capital. It's actually day-to-day expenses or day-to-day capital required for the working of a business. So the main topic for today is what are the factors that are going to affect the requirement of working capital. The first thing is nature of the business. Again, what type of business you are running will matter a lot. Like if you are running a trading business, you don't need that much of working capital. But if you are in manufacturing business, you need a lot of working capital. Next, scale of operation. An organization which is operating in large scale required large inventory and thus require more working capital. If you compare for a small organization that doesn't require much working capital, that do require, but it doesn't require much. Next, business cycle. Every business experience boom time. Boom means which is having a more production time. On that time, working capital required much more when compared to non-boom time or when compared to depression. So at the initial stages, you don't require that much of working capital. So it depends on the business cycle. If you are at starting, you don't need that much of working capital. If you are at depression, you don't need that much capital. If you are at boom time, boom means it's a time of peak production. So next is seasonal factor. Most of the time working capital depends on season, but unlike fixed capital, it does not affect in seasonal factor or even business cycles. But working capitals always depend on seasons. During a peak season or the time which is high in the demand, the production has to be high. So in that time working capital should be more. Suppose if you take an example of Mazda, in the time of a summer, the Mazda demand is more when compared to rainy seasons or even winter season. So at the demand time or the peak time, you require working capital more when compared to non-seasonal. So these are the example for seasonal factor. Next, credit allowed. If you are giving credit based goods sale for your consumers or customers, then you require more working capital because you don't get enough operating costs. So on that time you require working capital more when compared to non-credit sale transactions or non-credit sales. In this time customer will pay after 15 days or 20 days, even 3 months or 6 months. So till that time you require working capital to run your business. So you have to add up additional capital again and again. But if you are selling goods at cash basis, you need very less working capital. Next is credit availed. If your firm is availing raw material from the credit suppliers, or if you are purchasing raw material on credit basis, on that time you don't require much working capital because you don't need to pay uptime or upfront. So they will give you time. On that time you may sell your goods on cash basis and return and pay for the suppliers. So if you are purchasing raw material on the credit basis, you don't require that much working capital. Next is inflation. Working capital will be more when the time of inflation because whenever the price level is changing tremendously, like if a product price is changing every now and then, you require more working capital when you compare to non-inflation zones. That result in more working capital. Next is operating cycle or turnover of working capital. Turnover means it's a speed which working capital is converting into cash. If you are investing 10 rupees and that investment, current investment or current capital are converted again into cash by selling that goods or services. So that is called turnover working capital. If this speed is high, you'll get more working capital instantly. If speed is low, if you are taking 2 years or more than 1 year to sell, more than 1 year to sell your goods, that may increase the turnover working capital. That result in more working capital. So again, the simple thing is if operating cycles are speed, you don't need that much of working capital. So I hope this makes sense for you guys. I think that's it for this chapter. Congratulations, you just completed chapter 9. If you like this video, hit like and share with your friends. See you in the next chapter. Bye.